and major issues in this country, including the governance. And indeed, during the constitutional review process, we made a submission on our views on what we want to see in the Constitution. Rightly, as you mentioned, I'm also of the strong view that nobody should push us to say that the process has ended. They should still allow us to ensure that all things that could not find its way into the review process, we really do that before it's finalized. We hear sometimes some information to an extent that that window is not going to. I noticed that you made mention of it, and we need to support such a thing in ensuring that if we have a constitutional review or a reviewed constitution, it contains all the things that we want to see there. So perhaps if that's what they are saying, we also have to shout to say that they should also have to give us the window. Beyond that, we very much agree that for some time now, Ghanaians of all walks of life have bemoaned the problem of politics of winner-takes-all culture and expressed the need for steps to be taken to eradicate these deleterious practices from our political culture because of these obvious negative consequences. And we can list some of the consequences here. Some of these consequences are that the culture leads to creating an overbearing and excessively dominant executive, and thereby tends to undermine the constitutional principle informing the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. Again, it tends to encourage the appointment of persons to important offices of the state, not based on merit or capacity to perform the relevant functions and loyalty to the state, but on partisan political patronage, devoid in most cases of the competency of the appointee and calculated to populate state institutions with persons whose only qualification is their blind loyalty and sycophancy to the appointing authority. Again, another consequence is also that it tends to encourage the removal of competent and hard-working public servants from important public offices simply because of the perception that the person's servile loyalty cannot be guaranteed, or that he has political sympathies to an opposing political party, even when those sympathies are not open and do not affect this diligent and competent performance of their public functions. Even to us in the civil society and workers' arena, sometimes when we make intervention, depending on what intervention that we make, they are flagged as either belonging to Party B or Party C, forgetting that as working people, we have a permanent interest. And our permanent interest is to see the aspirations of working people, irrespective of whoever is in power. So we also meet those kind of challenges. Again, the culture tends also to breed a siege mentality among politicians and political parties, and transforms competitive electoral politics into a do or die affair in which competing parties will go to any lengths, legal or otherwise, to win power. And we can just see that in an illustration where now almost everything has been politicized. We are told that even when we get to the market, we have NEC bread and then the MPP bread. And depending on how you buy it, you are classified as such. But I think it's important also that we state that there are therefore genuine and cogent reasons why Ghanaians should be concerned about this debilitating and negative practice in our political culture. It needs, however, to be emphasized that in attempting to address the ills of this culture, we also do not throw the baby away with the bathwater and end up introducing changes that in effect endorse a system of union government, which Ghanaians have long rejected in the historic no to union government in the late 70s. I hope some of us all participated in the no to the union government. Yes. Blue. But I can see some of the young ones here. don't remember that at some point time. Union government, and you're rude. So we should also be careful, even when we are asking that we should check this cultural problem. We do not also bring a union government in place. We need to remember that at the heart of democratic electoral politics and governance is the question of choice of citizens based on the programs, proposed policy options, and manifestos of different competing parties. Care therefore ought to be taken to ensure that whatever proposals we come up with to mitigate the evil of the politics of winner takes all do not lead to the other extreme of undermining competitive democratic politics. And we think that we need to state that clearly. We may also want to look at the following. One important way of reducing excessive dominance of the executive in the state is to have the chief executives of the district assemblies elected. And elected on multi-party lines, just as both the presidential and parliamentary elections. And indeed, the TUC has repeatedly stated this thing, various opportunities that we have. Now, this chief executive should be elected. And I should be on multi-party. Even though we know now that the district assembly is not on multi-party lines, we are told that it's done. So let's just formalize it. This will promote greater decentralization and devolution of power and make local governance more accountable to citizens in the district and also to central government. Most often we are informed that because the district chief executive was put there by the president, he listens to only the president, and sometimes not to the people there, including the chiefs and the people of the district. This is a viewpoint that received considerable support during the work of the Constitutional Review Commission. Unfortunately, the white paper failed to take on board this progressive and democratic proposal. So we think we may have to look at that seriously. Again, an equally important aspect of this problem is related to Article 1951 of the Constitution, which vests in the President the power to appoint persons to hold or to act in an office in the public service, acting in accordance with the Governing Council of the service concerned and in consultations with the Public Services Commission. This clause of the Constitution virtually establishes a system of rank political patronage, and no real progress will be made in tempering the ills of the culture of winner takes all until and unless this clause is amended in important respects. In the first place, the governing councils of such public institutions, including the Public Services Commission, are appointed by the President. Therefore, the constitutional requirement that such appointments to the public service should be in accordance with the advice of the Governing Council given in consultation with the Public Services Commission does not, in the real world of politics, ensure that only competent, independent persons of enterprising spirit are appointed to these positions. Hence, a list of important positions in the public service may be agreed upon, and the appointment of the heads of such positions should be open, transparent, and involve public hearing, and that the appointing authority should not be limited to only the President, but should be made up of major independent public governmental organizations such as the TUC or the bigger organized labor, the Christian Group, Christian Council of Ghana and Catholic Secretariat, the Federation of Muslim Council and Ahmadiyya Mission, the Bar Association, representative of women organizations such as Netright and Abantu, and what we have, the farmers and the business community such as the Employees Association and the Association of
The problem is from the way the Constitution has been couched.
Yes.
The Constitution was couched as if at any given time only one issue of amendment will take place in the Constitution. So you go through a certain process, you go and say yes or no to that issue.
Yes.
No one envisaged that you may have more than
34.
It's actually 41.
41.
No, but even still, what is the way forward? Can't we separate some specific things? then what needed to be yes and no will be yes and no. But not all other issues will be yes and no. I think strongly that will be helpful.
The whole issue has to be
Democracy is expensive.
I think you will have more time to look at it.
Yeah.
Because